Hey there, toy collector friends and Transformers fans alike. Welcome back to the channel. I'm the time-traveling toy collector, and this is the Transformers the Movie Studio Series 8609 Wreck-Gar figure. So this is Wreck-Gar, the Junkion leader, as he appeared in the 1986 Transformers the Movie. And a fantastic figure, another reproduction, if reproduction is the right word, reimagining, updating, retooling, re-engagement with the original engineering, etc, of a figure that was first released the late 80s. And I never had the original figure. I never had the original Wreck-Gar back in the 80s. I didn't think that much of it as a figure, and it didn't appeal to me particularly, so I never actually sort of asked for it or in turn received it as part of any Christmas or birthday package. And it was coming out towards the back end of my time being interested in the Transformers, I suppose. So do I regret not picking up at the time? Not really, because again, a bit like the Rodimus Prime of the time, and they were released kind of as, I think they were classed as Autobot heroes, relating to the film release. It didn't really exude super excitement for me. So no, I don't regret it, and I think it may have been slightly better articulated than poor old Rodimus, but yeah, it didn't kind of grab me. But I was familiar with the figure, I've seen the figure, so I know how this one has echoes of that. Before we look at the figure too much, just a quick spin around the box art. Usual format for the box, big old plastic window, Transformers the Movie logo there, Studio Series 8609, and there is some fantastic animated artwork, box artwork rather, of Wreck-Gar doing his thing right there on the front. Extends around a bit to the side, not too much around the side here, and just really a close-up of his head. This side we see a bit more of the same artwork with Wreck-Gar there, and the reverse of the packaging, as ever, is the obligatory product shots. There we go, and a view of Wreck-Gar standing up atop his scenic background, which I've already taken out to save ourselves some time. So that's the packaging, and this is the main attraction, our Wreck-Gar figure. I've put the background there already. It's the Junkion dance party, so it's essentially a scene, as is often depicted with our 86 figures from the animated movie, just to lend a bit of variety to the backdrop. This one is the Junkion dance party after the Junkions come to the rescue of the Autobots who land on their planet. So here he is. Now let's get a little bit of a closer look at that face sculpt. This is a lovely face sculpt. Obviously we've now got the engineering to have a moustache and beard that looks far more realistic to its original predecessing 1986 figure. The face sculpt, I think, is really well done, and actually the whole head sculpt is well done, because if I remember rightly, the original figure, the head formed the front of the motorcycle, so that section was the windshield. These were the handlebars, but they are now a bit more of a faux piece with the rest of it. Some of it forming, you'll see here, the backpack. You can see the handlebars there on the backpack, and the windshield jutting out there. So yeah, I think it's already a very nice ode to Wreck-Gar from the first time around. He does of course come with those nipple mounted cannons. Don't ask me why. They are slightly adjustable, so you can it just always feels a little bit weird when I do that. And also reminds me of the Fembots from the Austin Powers film series, which again also a bizarre memory attached to this figure. So moving swiftly on, overall this is a well articulated, well put together, well painted and well crafted figure. There is nothing really here not to like overall. The wheels come separately packaged and are attached to the spikes or to the mech tech ports we see here. You get an awful lot of articulation at the hips, thighs, the knees, the ankles. There's ankle tilt, there's a bit of waist tilt, there's a bit of an abs crunch too. I'm not going to do it just now because it is released due to the transformation joint there. The back of the arms are a little bit disappointing because they are just a big open space that you can pop your it evidently looks like the hands are going to be popped in there at some point in the near future. But otherwise it's a very clean profile. It's a very nice paint job, very reminiscent, as it should be, of the original film. And it is a sturdy figure, so you know we can place it onto the structure there. I'll slightly rebase and reframe the shot, and it does fit quite well. I'm a bit disappointed that the packaging has resulted in these prongs or spikes being ever so slightly bent. You can't really see the one this side because of the wheel shield, but it is also a little bit on the bent side. So that's a bit of a shame, but overall in its robot mode it is really good. And I think, you know, over time that I can probably straighten those out without causing too much grief. But yeah, it's as we've come to expect from the Transformers Studio Series 86 line. This is a really good figure, and I know we've got some other Junkions waiting in the wings in the future that's going to come our way. Some of which have already been released, some to be released in the future. So I'm looking very much forwards to being able to have a bit of a Junkion army or a cast of Junkions that we can then deploy as part of the cast of the Studio Series 86 toy range. And we can all take on Unicron together, so that would be fun. So yeah, Wreck-Gar, apart from some of that spacing in the arms, I think it's a really nice figure. The next thing I'll do is transform him into his motorcycle mode, and then we'll have a look at that. I don't tend to do the transformations in Vision just because I don't want to muck them up for you and waste your time. It's not a tutorial, it's as much for me finding out as for anyone watching. There are some fantastic transformation tutorial videos out there, and I would definitely direct you to those if you're looking for a tutorial. I often look at them myself, and you don't want to hear all the category A swear words I'll be throwing at Wreck-Gar if I can't make him transform, or if I get stuck and essentially find myself panicking that I'm going to break something if I continue the way I'm moving. So let's leave Wreck-Gar there in his robot mode, and we shall come back momentarily with Wreck-Gar all transformed up, I say, ever the optimist, into his motorcycle mode. Faster than you can say, don't touch that dial. And thank you for not touching that dial. So here we are back with Wreck-Gar, now transformed up into his bike mode. I've slightly changed the alignment of the display just to be able to fit him in, because again, in motorcycle mode, he is quite a hefty piece. How was he to transform? I'm glad you asked. Overall, very straightforward, very straightforward. This section, which would have been his head in the original format, and you can see that the dials from his head do make up the dashboard with some really excellent detailing. I must give it that. This section was extremely stiff, and there was very little purchase for me to be able to get that section out and use it and safely, and it took way longer than I think it should have done or was intended to do. So that was my hairy moment on the motorcycle mode, was getting this section up and out of the chest. Others may have had a better ride than I did with that. It may well have been purely down to it being stiff, because it's it's not been transformed before. This is the first time I've transformed him up into his bike mode since I've purchased the figure. So it may have been that, but in terms of me having a hairy moment, that was it. To be honest, that was, however, the only one. There were no other hairy moments for me on this one. He does have concealed in what the under part here of the bike, which is of course his legs, two sort of kickstands to support him. I'll just drop the camera down slightly so you can see him there. So he's able to freestand in motorcycle mode, but he also does wheel quite freely. If I take these, I'll just move them a little bit so I don't have a performance of getting them back in and out. But the wheels do move quite freely, so it rolls really well. So if you do want to stick another character, one of the other Junkions, maybe a smaller one, like Scrap Hook, for example, on the back, or maybe one of the other Studio Series Autobots, that would work really well. I think the detailing is nice. These saddlebags can be posed ever so slightly if you wanted to. They also can just stay exactly where they are. The seat has a sort of tab on it. That's really to enable robot mode, holding together. But there is space, and certainly some of you would have seen other figures riding Wreck-Gar in this mode. I've also attached his spinning blade weapon to the rear of the bike mode. There are some other ports you can attach it to, but I think this one is the one that makes the most sense moving forwards. Yeah, again, I really like the mode. I think the detailing is excellent. I think the homage to the original figure through this is really excellent. I think the detailing in the driving section there is wonderful. Those two dials really make this, give it a level of authenticity, you know, that they didn't need to be there. It's a level of standard, a level of detailing where they do put some nice bits in that otherwise may not be seen. I think it's a beautiful figure for what it is. There is some gapping issues. At a point I did think it was me and I may have mistransformed it, but I went back a couple of times and I really don't think I have. So there's a little bit of there's some thin elements across this, but I guess that's part of the Junkion charm, is that they are kind of thrown together, colony of Autobots or Transformers, or however you want to perceive them. So I'm not too worried about that. I'd be more worried about that if it was a motorcycle Transformer and it had great huge gaps in the middle of it and it should have been a Bugatti or something like that. Anyway, what else to say about the figure? What's very good in this mode is the stiffness of the other joints. The arms and the legs have come together really well, and they're tabbed really well to hold the bike together. In robot mode, I was a bit worried because his left arm and also at times some of the posing in his legs were a little weak, and I was a bit worried that he wouldn't hold. Similarly, his waist joint, the one that gives him that sort of faux abs crunch, is a transformation joint, and that's also a little weak. It does pop out occasionally, and you think, I don't think it should have done that. And you'd be right to think that. But all in all, I think it's a lovely figure. I think the robot mode is very evocative, perfectly so, and I think the motorcycle mode takes me right back to the movie, and I look forward at some point to putting some figures on Wreck-Gar to see how that poses best for the camera, and so keep an eye on my Instagram channel for those. All that remains really is for me to say, I hope you've had an opportunity to decide whether you think Studio Series 8609 Wreck-Gar has a place in your collection, if you don't already have him, and give you a chance to have a bit of an up-close and personal look. As I say, it's not so much about the tutorial, it's more about me giving you an opportunity to hear from someone who's just transformed him, where the pitfalls are, where the stresses are. I love that, the detailing of the petrol point there, and the refueling, the gas point there, and the lovely gold flame detail on his midsection there on the bike mode. There's a lot to like about this figure. There really is. So personally, I'm really glad I've picked him up. Unlike a couple of other figures in the Studio Series 86 range, which are duplicates, which I won't be picking up, or at least I'm not intending to pick up unless they become in a sort of cheap or special offer, or I see a good deal. The Sweep, for example, which is just a repaint and minor retooling of Scourge. I'm not looking to do that. My level of completism doesn't stretch that far. I know, sacrilege, some of you might think, but there we are. Hey ho, I'm exposed. But I really like this. I think this is a really good piece. Really glad I've got it. And at some point I also might do some sort of very nostalgic work with this and Rodimus Prime, the Commander class Rodimus Prime figure, and see how he stacks up next to this Voyager class Wreck-Gar. So if you haven't got him and you are a fan of classic Transformers, G1 Transformers, and you're loving this new 86 range, I say new, it's not new anymore, but it's, this innovative 86 range where they're really going back and revisiting those classic designs, and sort of keeping true to the spirit of it whilst modernising the engineering so that they really can be the figures we wanted back in 1986 and 87. Then definitely this is a must-have. But ultimately it's up to you. It's not for everyone, I'm sure. Hopefully this video has helped you make up your mind. If it has, that's fantastic. Do smash the like button. It really helps me and helps the channel. Similarly, feel free to subscribe to the channel, because that way you'll never miss another Transformers video, or indeed a look at or review or appreciation of any other sort of model or collection, or collectible or historical toy, or game or whatever that I may well start to look at in the future. There's also a few playlists you might want to check out if you are interested in Transformers toys. There's a few Transformers Through Time videos up there. There's obviously my Studio Series 86 playlist as well. So yeah, have a little snoop about the channel if this is your first visit. If it's not your first visit, then again, why not subscribe, and then you'll know every time I do post a video. And then you can look or not at your leisure. I have been the time-travelling toy collector. You've been a fantastic audience for the last 20 or so minutes, and I very much appreciate you giving me your time. I know there's a lot of channels you can choose, so thank you for watching this one. And I look forward to seeing you in a future video. In the meantime, please remember that a thing of beauty really is a toy forever. One to roll out.